We are on the recording. Fine. So, in the previous session, we saw how we can design this robot. Uh, so, just to give you a quick recap, what we did was we created a base. We named that base as base underscore link. This was the rule that we followed. And even when we saved the robot, everything should be lowercase. Nothing should be uppercase. Remember? And then we added motors, we added wheels, we added some lidar and some top base. All of these things are in one body. The wheels are one body. There are some casters that we added. So we added basically a lot of things. I showed one more option telling that you can insert designs that are already made by somebody else. So if I want this motor driver, I can insert into this design by right clicking and insert into current design. But this will increase the complexity of your overall robot. Like you can insert a Raspberry Pi or something like that. If it is not exactly required, you can just add a simple cube that will have a very good like it will consume very less processing power, and that will make your simulation much more faster. But if you the more detailed model you make, the more computational power it will require and the more RAM it will take. And that is how like if you have a very low end system, just make something out of squares and rectangles and cylinders. It will be more than enough. Just make sure the weights and dimensions are a little bit similar to the actual robot. So now we have to convert this Fusion 360 design into a URDF. So there are certain set of rules that you need to follow to convert a Fusion 360 design into a URDF, and that is why I've came here with this presentation. So first we have to check in the preferences. So as instructed in the first like in the first session of today, make sure your orientation of the model is Z up. We are keeping it Z up because the default for Gazebo and all other simulation softwares is Z is at the top. Okay. And the second thing is keep the default units of the design to the mm. Make sure these two things are done. Okay. Once this is done, then there are different types of links. Okay. As we discussed, there are bodies, and inside components there are multiple types of components. First, there are linked components, then there are copied components, and there are unlinked components. So right now, uh, if you see, there is nothing over here. They are normal components. So they are unlinked components. There is nothing over here. But if I import some design from some other space, like let's say I have a, do I have any sensor or anything over here? Yeah. I will insert this motor driver into this design. I will insert it into current design. Okay, it will take time to load and it will spawn at the 0th location. Let's wait for it. Yeah, there we have it. So this is our motor driver. So here you can see there is a small chain icon that is being created in front of this motor driver name. So this means it is a linked component. Why is it a linked component? Because it is linked to another design. That is the reason it is chain over here. Okay, so if there are any linked components in your design, just make sure to break the link. Just right click it and break the link. So now, until now it was a normal linked component. Now you can see it has become like any other component. So it is now an unlinked component. One more thing, if I copy this component, if I paste it, I'm pressing Control C, Control V, like we do it for copy pasting. And if I make a new copy of it, something like this, yeah, there is another copy. So now here you can see there is one, like there is a after the name of the body, name of the component, there is :1 and then there is :2. I tried increasing the font size, but I guess it won't, it is not working with this. So please try to just have a look. So So it's like :1 and :2. In the presentation also I have shown, like if they are copied components, there is like :1, :2, :3. You have to make sure these copied components are not there. So how can you remove this copied component? Let's say I want two of the motor drivers. How can I remove these copied components? What I can do is I can open it, I can extend it using the arrow, and I will extend the body. So I can see it is made of 4 different bodies. So these two are terminals. This is third one is the base, and fourth one is another terminal. So what I can do is I can select them all. Okay, I have selected them all and I will combine them. Okay, and I will press OK. After combining, I can see, wait a minute. Okay, they are not combined properly because there is some space in between them. So I can just elevate this and I can join them together. So if I just extrude it 1 mm, and instead of cutting, I will join them together. There we go. We just have one thing now over here. So now just copy this component. Inside the component, we have to select body, copy it by Control C, and now just paste it by Control V. Now currently there is no bodies written here. When I press Control V, you can see a new body section is created, and inside that we have the body. So now you can delete this existing copy, delete it, and there will be a separate body which will be generated outside. So now you can make it visible. Okay, copy pasted body, review warning. Wait a minute. Okay, wait. I will undo it because the actual component is removed. So even here, the copies was also removed. So I will get back. I will undo it. Yes, I have now undone. I will copy and paste it. But here it is pasted inside the component. So again, I have to just click outside and then I have to paste it. So it will be created as a new body. Now I can just hide this existing body. Hide it. I have one more over here. I will first convert this as well into a component. So this thing should be created as a separate component. So now we have one component here, one component over here. I can just move it so that you understand what I'm talking about. Instead of rotating, yes. And this was the original one. So I can simply delete it. Okay, it is, I guess this is the new update in which it is deleting the existing part as well. If I say remove, yeah, instead of deleting, you can just remove it. So now everything is :1. There is no copy components, as you can see. Everything is :1. So you need each and every part as a unique part, not as a copied part. Okay, so instead of deleting, there is a new feature, remove. I was not aware of it, but now, yeah, we understand. So according to this, there are 4 types of things. Make sure convert all of them to bodies. All editing must be done in the bodies mode. So if you remember, in the previous session as well, I said them everything, all the editing should be done in the bodies mode. Nothing should be edited in the components mode. So if you have such things, just convert them all into bodies. How I can convert? I can just go here, copy it, paste it. I can make a separate body and I can remove the original component. But I'm not going to do it right now because we have already edited everything in a bodies mode. We have removed everything in the bodies mode, so we don't need it. I will remove all this as well. Everything was made in a bodies mode, so we don't need it. Just make sure everything which is edited is in bodies mode. That is the rule. The second rule is make it simple. While editing in bodies, make it simple. So as we said, it is not very much complicated. It is simple geometric shapes. Keep it simple. Rename the bodies. In this renaming, make sure the main base of the robot should be named as base underscore link. Second thing is rest everything you can rename app as per your liking, but everything should be in lower case alphabets. The third thing is align and orient properly. So here, as I said, as we moved this robot up to level it with the ground, remember we did it in the starting of the previous session. So why did we do it? Because we wanted our robot to align on the ground in the center. So align and orient your bodies properly and check the properties and materials. This was all what we did in the bodies mode. This was all what we did in the previous session. So it is just a recap, but these all rules you should consider. Everything, all the material changes and everything we did in the bodies mode. After we were satisfied with the complete design, only then we added it into a components mode. Okay, so once all the editing is done, the next step is convert them all to components. That is what we did. Convert all the bodies into components at the same time. That is what we did. So let's move ahead. Now editing in components. So now next step is we have to edit in components, but we don't have to edit the bodies. We have to just make joints. We have to rename joints. We have to set joint limits and cross check all properties. These are the things that we need to do. So let's make joints. So why do I need to make joints? So let's consider if this is my base link. If I press M to move my base link, and if I move it somewhere over here, you can see when I moved over here, everything remained over here itself. They were not connected with each other. So it will happen like my robot will go ahead, my motors and wheels will go ahead, but my robot will stay there itself. So I don't want that. Everything should be connected to each other. So first we will be making these joints. Okay, so let's make joints. I will undo it. And before making joints, just make one more thing sure. If you see there is an origin written, if I click on it, it will show the origin. It will show the world origin. Then this is the point. Wait, I will hide everything else. This is the world origin, like the center of the world. Okay, and each base link will be with respect to that. This origin is considered as the base, as the center of the world. Now just make sure, if you look it from down, you see this origin clearly. Now each and every component of yours will also have an origin. If you extend this, can you see there are origins for each of them, but they are hidden. So let's unhide all of them. So if I hide the original origin and I show it over here, this is one origin. If I unhide another one, it will become more brighter because all of them are overlapping each other. So just make sure all the origins are at the same place. Sometimes if I move this body, let's say if I move this wheel somewhere over here, so along with that, this origin is moved. If I move this caster somewhere over here, along with that, its origin is moved. So this is not considered. This should not be the case. All the origins should be at the same place because origin is the center of the world. So every center should be at the same place. Just make sure of that. So I will just hide all the origins. Just confirm this once before moving ahead. If every origin is in same place, then you can move ahead. For making joints, how can you make joints? So click on assemble and there is joint. So there are certain types of joints that you can make. Okay, so let's make a joint. Before making joint, what I can do is I can move these motors away so that I can join them easily. I will be joining them at the same place. So I'm just moving it apart. Okay. Now click on assemble and click on joint. You can just press J as a shortcut if you want. So if I press joint, I want to join this edge of the motor over here. I have selected this to the edge of this robot. I will select here. And now as you can see, the motor has been moved over there. Okay. And while making joints, make sure the first component you select is the child component, and the second component you select is the parent component. Why? Because let's consider child component will go to parent to make the joint. So here, as you saw, first I selected motor and which was child, and then I selected base which was parent. So the child went to the parent. But if I have not done like this, if I would have selected first the base, and then if I would have selected the motor, just see what happens. The base, you cannot, wait a minute. The component 1 should be base. If I selected this, and then if I selected component 2 as motor, you see the base has come over here, which is wrong. The orientation is also wrong. So just make sure first select the child. What is child over here? The motor. And then select the parent. Just make sure you are doing the right orientation. So here you can see I'm not attaching it to the edge, I'm attaching it to the surface. If I select here, perfect. Press OK. So here you can see a small shape. So this shape stands for rigid joint. I can click it and I can edit joint, and I can go into motion. So here there are simple motions that we can do. I can animate it. So here you can see it is vibrating. So it's like a rigid joint. You cannot separate it. If I wanted it to be a revolute joint, what I will do is I will select this. See, it is able to rotate along that axis. If I want axis of rotation as y-axis, see. If I want it x-axis, I can change it from here. I can make a slider joint. In, let's say, y-axis, I can make a slider joint if I'm making a linear actuator or something. There is cylindrical joint. Cylindrical joints is used in nut and bolts. There is pin slot joint. There is planar joint, so it can move anywhere in a plane. There is a ball joint as well. So ball joint is a universal joint. But here we want a rigid joint. We want it fixed. I have selected rigid and I have pressed OK. So now in a new section will be created with the name joints, and there you can see rigid one. You can rename it if you want. I will rename it to motor base joint. If you just want it, you can make like rename it. The next joint I want to make is this motor as well. So I will make this motor move as well. Let's do that. I will select these. I will move it apart. I will press J to make the joint. First, I will select the child, which is the motor. I want this edge of the motor to be connected on this edge of the robot. It has went. I will check the motion. It is a rigid joint. Very good. I will press OK. Now it has created a second joint. Rename it as motor. This one is left base joint. I can rename the upper one as motor right base joint. Now let's connect wheels to it. Again, while I have pressed J for making a joint, I want wheels to be the child and my motors to be the parent. So I will select the center of this wheel, and then I will rotate. I will select this shaft. I will click here. Wheel has come over here. But here if I do motion, it is a rigid joint. I don't want it rigid. I want the wheel to rotate. So I will select a revolute joint. and just make sure it's going in the right direction. Just animate it. You can see a flag animating. See, this means it's moving in the right direction. I will press OK. So here it's name as Rev3. So I will say Rev stands for revolution. So I will say right Rev, something like that. This is the name of my joint, right Rev. Again, everything should be in small case. There should be no space. I have added underscore instead of spaces. Okay, now let's join this wheel as well. I will select the center of the wheel and I will select the center of this shaft. Again, it's a revolute joint. Make sure it's revolute. Animate it if you are not sure, and if everything is right, press OK. Now this is like left revolution, left rev. If you wish to confirm once again, just confirm all the origins are in place. If any origin is not in place, then you have to go back and do it again. Now I am doing it. I know I am doing it correctly, so I have not checking it again and again. But I will recommend you guys to, like, whenever you join two things together, just make sure origins are at the same place. Okay. Now, due to this joint, if I now move the base link, which I did previously, everything else were left at the same place, right? But now motors and wheels are moving with the base. Can you see that? We have not connected caster wheels, we have not connected LiDAR, so they are staying there itself, but rest everything is moving with the robot. That is what we want. So what we have not connected yet, we have not connected this thing as well, casters. So let's now connect casters. I will select the casters front and back. I will move them down so that it is easy to attach them. I will press on joint, select the center of the caster. I will see it from the bottom side and I will select the center of here. The caster comes here. Again, I don't want it as a revolute joint. I will keep it as a fixed joint. I will do it with the other caster as well. It's a fixed joint. Yeah, okay. I can name it as caster front joint, caster back. Okay. And the final joint which is remaining is LiDAR. So the reason we kept our design so simple, that is the reason we have converted the UIDF very easily. But as you make more and more complex robots, it will become more and more difficult. So just make sure, start with simple and then keep on practicing to improve your skills. Even now it's fixed thing. Okay. Here I will type it as LiDAR underscore joint. Now if I move the base link, if I press M to move, rest everything is also coming with it. So all the joints are made. I will save it. Okay. So now are all the joints made? Yes. Have we renamed all the joints as per our knowing? Yes. If in case you are making a robotic arm, you should set joint limits as well. So how can you set joint limits is, I will show you an example. So here, I don't want any, see, if I edit joint, instead of this, I will show this because it is easier to visualize. Edit joint. Okay. So currently it's a rigid joint. If I make it a revolute in y-axis, it is rotating like this. So let's consider this is a robotic arm. It is not a robotic arm, but let's consider. So in that, it won't be a continuous thing. If you are using a servo motor, it will have an angle of 180 degree. It can only rotate in 180 degree. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to add joint limits. So select the joint which you want to add limits to, and here there is an option to edit joint limits. Click on that, and here you can set minimum and maximum. I will just hide this wheel for a moment. Yeah. So here I will get these kind of flags. So I can select OK. This I want this joint to move from minus 90 degree to positive 90 degree. If I want, I can, and I want the center. If I want, I can animate it. So see, instead of rotating continuously, it is on going only in 180 degree. If I want the angle just to be 90 or something like that, see, only in this much angle it will rotate. So this can be done for a robotic arm. But right now we don't want to do this. Right now it will be just a edit joint. It will be just a rigid joint. That's it. Okay. If we want, you can add the robotic arm in the front. But yeah, that is how you add joint limits and cross check all the properties. So just for an instance, I will right click on the robot name, properties, make sure the weight is proper. Yes, it is proper. That's it. And all the things, rest things will be calculated automatically. Now let's get on to the next thing. Convert to Fusion URDF using Fusion to URDF plugin. So how should we add this plugin is, go to GitHub. GitHub is a place where all open source repositories have their code, or you can just search Fusion to URDF. This will get opened. Okay, and now there is the installation procedure. So if you are on a Windows, in PowerShell you have to write this, and if you are on Mac OS you have to do this. So what does this do is, first you need to download it. So instead of showing it right now on my PC, I have already created a video. I will show that to you, how you can install it. I will directly show how to install it on Windows. If you want to install this plugin on your Windows PC, the procedure is somewhat similar. Just download the zip of the repo. You can save it wherever you want, but just be aware of the location. Once you have downloaded the zip, unzip or extract all of its contents. You can delete the original zip file as we only need the unzipped folder. Open the unzipped folder and go inside until you find the URDF exporter folder. Just like in macOS, we have to copy this folder into the EPI location of Fusion 360. But to do that, we will be needing Windows PowerShell. Please note that this is not a normal command prompt. It is a Windows PowerShell. You can search it by typing power into your search bar and then open it. Now copy the location of the folder where you have URDF exporter folder and type in the cd command in the PowerShell, which stands for change directory, followed by the copied path, and press enter. But this gives me an error just because I had a space in my path. So to fix that, we can type the same cd command, but this time the path should be written in quotes. Now you can see your terminal has been sent to that specific location. You can check it by typing dir command, which is directory command, just like we have ls command in Linux and macOS, which lists down all the directories in the given folder. Here you should be able to see URDF exporter folder. Now paste the second command given in the README of Fusion to URDF repo, and this should copy the URDF exporter folder in the scripts folder of API of Fusion 360. Unless you have space in your Windows username or else you have kept the location of Fusion 360 something different from the original location, then you may encounter an error. In both of these cases, you can modify the command as I am doing it here right now by replacing the app data by the location where you have installed Fusion 360 and then press enter. So what I'm doing over here is I'm just telling where is my Fusion 360 installed. So it was installed in C users, then my username, and then it was app data, local, Autodesk, and stuff like that. So if you have installed it on a default location, so this command will work as it is. But if you have not installed it on a default location, if you have changed the directory somewhere else, if you have saved it on your desktop or in your D drive or somewhere else, you need to make these changes. If you don't get any error, that means Fusion 2 URDF plugin is properly installed. You can check it by opening Fusion 360 software and go into Tools, Add-ins, where you will find URDF Exporter Python script. So once you have installed this, it should be able to see into Tools, Add-ins, Scripts, and here you should see URDF Exporter. Technically what it is doing is, it is just taking this URDF exporter folder, which has all the Python files and everything. It is copying this. Okay, if you read the command, it says copy item. So technically it's copying. What it is copying the URDF exporter folder. It is copying this URDF exporter folder. Where is it copying? It is copying to the destination. Pasting, sorry. Where is it pasting? It is pasting on the destination, and we are giving the path of the destination. So wherever Fusion 360 is installed, inside that there is a folder for scripts. These scripts are the extra code that we can add to the Fusion 360. So even if I can show it on my PC, okay. Yes, where is it? Yes. So inside my home, there is a library folder. I guess, where is it? Oh, wait a minute. Home library. LIBRARY. I will just search it. Or I can just open up a terminal. CD library. Okay, it should be here itself. I didn't see it. ABCDF. It might be hidden. Yes, there is a hidden library folder. So inside that, there is application support. Inside that, there is Autodesk, and there is Autodesk Fusion 360. Where is it? Autodesk Fusion 360. Inside it, there is an API, and inside scripts. So there is my Fusion to UIDF folder. This is the exact same folder which is over here. If I open it, you can see there is core, package, utils, UIDF exporter manifest, and UIDF exporter py. And this is actually the Python script which is there. So if I open this Python script, yes, you can see the actual script that is running behind it, what we are doing. If you are aware about Python, you can just go and edit it according to your wish. So here what it is doing, it is looking for base link, and that is the reason I have told you please make the name as base_link. If you have not made it, it will give you an error saying there is no base link. Please select base link and run again. So it will give you this error. Okay, so just make sure you have base link and you have installed it. But technically it's not even installation, it's just copy pasting. It's that simple. So let's go ahead. Once you have your URDF exporter, click on that and click run. That's it. You don't have to do anything. You have to just select the location where you want to save this. So I want to save it on a location, let's say on my desktop. My desktop, I will save it. After some time, it will say successfully created URDF file. If you have not received this, there might be some error. You have to redo some of the things. Just make sure you do all these steps that I have shown right now. If you follow these steps one by one, as I showed you, there was no error that came up. Everything was there. Now, whenever you create a URDF, you can see some copies of the components are created, right? So all these components you have to undo it, okay, because this is created by the script automatically, so it is not required. Or else you can directly close this if you want. I can say ki don't save or anything. I will say cancel, or I can say where is it stored. Yeah, I can say that restore to the previous version. So I can click here, so it will go on the version number 7. Anything which is done after version number 7 will be automatically deleted. So it is going. It is loading right now. Or else you can directly go back in the timeline somewhere over here. Yes. Yes. And you can delete all these things later on. Delete all features after history marker. Yes. Now everything is deleted. So I will just save this once again. And when it says Fusion to URDF is created, okay, I can just go on to my desktop and I will show you. There is a new folder which is created, and I will just increase the size so that you can see it. So as you can see, this new folder is created whose name is FDP bot underscore description. So where did it came? This name came. So if you remember the name of the robot, we gave it as FDP bot. So the name came from FDP bot underscore description is the description package of the robot. So as I told you yesterday, this is the description package of the robot, which includes all the physical properties of your robot. Hence it is called as description, because it is the description of your robot. So what all it has, it has all the meshes file. So this mesh file is like a 3D model of the complete this thing, what we say, the base link, the casters, the LiDAR, motors, everything is given over here. Okay, so it see, if I open the 3D file, you can see it's a 3D mesh file. This is like a 3D printing software. We won't be able to print this huge part, but still it has everything in it. These are the meshes. There are launch files. So whatever launch file we did yesterday, so these are created automatically. So you can see there is a gazebo.launch, there is display.launch that is used for RVs, then there is URDF RVs, then there are licenses which are automatically created, there is a package file that is automatically created, and there is a URDF file. And inside this URDF, if you remember, I shown you that we edited this Chacro files, right? So this Chacro file consists of your description of the robot. So here you can see the name is base link. We have given the inertial properties, visual properties, collision, what material we want. So everything is silver currently. We can edit it later on. Then we have motor right, motor left. We have inertia value, mass values. So if you remember, the weight of the base was 2.67 kgs. The weight, the mass of motor was 0.97 kgs. The motor of wheels was 164 grams, 0.164 kgs. So everything is given over here, all the descriptions, as well as all the joints that we made. So if you remember, we made joints with the name motor right base joint, which was a fixed joint, which was between the child link was motor right, the parent link was base link. Similarly, there was another fixed for another motor, which was motor left and base link. Then we had continuous joints between motor right and wheel right. And there was left rev continuous between motor left and wheel left. So all these things are given over here. Rest all the joints were fixed. So it has all the properties. There are also friction properties given in the gazebo. So if you open this, this is mu1 and mu2, which is the friction properties of the wheels. So by default, everything is 0.2. So we will be editing it right now. I will show you how you can edit these and how you can see the robot working. So now I have this folder on my desktop. So the next thing I need to do is, if you are on Windows, just copy this folder in a pen drive or something and go into Ubuntu. So right now I will open a new desktop. As the UIDF conversion is done, if anyone wants this presentation, I will share the link. I am sharing this link in the chat currently. Okay, so now I will open one virtual machine, which will and I will be using the URDF that we created inside that. So I will start the virtual machine. And this folder that I am created, it's a package, it's a ROS package that is automatically generated. So where do we keep the ROS packages? We keep it into our SRC folder. So I will open the SRC folder and I will simply drag and drop my folder over here. So as you can see, this is the FDP bot description. I will simply drop it. It is pasted over here. If you are using a pen drive, just copy paste it. It's your wish how you want to transfer. In virtual machine, we can directly drag and drop. So that is all what I did. It just copy pasted into a virtual machine. So if I open, this has the UIDF meshes, everything. So now as FDP bot description is our is our ROS package, let's test it out. How can I test it out? So it has some pre-made launch files, right? So let's start with display.launch. Display.launch will make sure that all the joints that we made are properly placed. So I will open a terminal. I will type ROS launch because we are launching a file, launch file. I will increase the size as well. Give me a moment. Is the font size visible now? Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes, I will type ROS launch, then the name of the package, which is FDP bot underscore description. Okay. And finally, the name of the launch file. So let's start with the display.launch. I launch this display.launch. It will start our viz and it will show us our robot. So let's full screen it. Let's zoom out. You see, we have our robot into ROS right now. That's great. We can also see the TFs if we want. I can reduce the alpha of the robot, maybe 0.5. And here we can see all the TFs right at their places where they're supposed to be. Now, what I need to test is if the wheels and all the joints that I made are moving properly or not. So I will just make it 0.8. Yes, that is better. Now, along with Arvis, this small joint state publisher will also get open. It's the same thing that we use to control the robot arm. So I will just try to rotate this and see if the TF of the wheel is rotating or not properly. So here you can see the TF of the wheel is rotating properly. I can directly remove the complete robot and I can see these TFs of wheel. Just make sure they are rotating properly. Yes, this right wheel is rotating properly. Left wheel also that is rotating properly. In the robot model as well, you see these two wheels. Just make sure when you rotate this, the wheels are rotating properly. If they are not rotating properly, that means you have made some problem in the origin. Just go back into Fusion 360, check what origins you have given, check if all the origins are same or not. If they are not same, you will face some or the other problem. Okay, you will face some or the other issue. So I will just save the config. So now this is how we can see our robot in Arvis. But can we see it in Gazebo? Let's try that. So we will again launch another file which is gazebo.launch, which is right over here. We will type gazebo.launch. Rest everything was same. Now it should start Gazebo. And there we have it. Our robot in an empty environment in a gazebo. So if we are making a waiter robot kind of a thing, we can add some cafe tables around. We can add cafe tables. We can add a Coke can on the top of the robot. So I can just move it around. Yeah. So it's of a perfect size as a waiter bot. I can add bowl. Yeah, there is enough place for both of them. So this is how you make the URDF of your robot and you can use it in Gazebo. But there is a lot more to it because if I play this simulation right now, let's see, everything is proper, but I am unable, there is no control system of the robot. The robot doesn't look like what we designed. There is no colors. It is completely white in color. I want colors to the robot. Then how can I control it? All these things, they are not yet added into this. So let's add these properties. Okay. So I will close this simulation. Press Ctrl C. So after making the UIDF, there are some certain changes that you need to make. Okay. Change number one, open your package inside UIDF folder, go into the Chakro. Okay, open it in a good text editor. I like Sublime Text. So what I can do is I can just open a Sublime Text. Inside this, I will open a folder, and in folder I will select the folder of the package of the FDP bot. I will say open. There we have it. So now I can select what file I want to see, and I can see all folders here. So I will open the fdpbot.chakro. I will increase the font size as well. Is this comfortable?
Okay, sir.
Yes. Okay. So there are a couple of things that you should change. Number one, If you go down and if you see the joints here, for the motor joint, which are the continuous joints, okay, see these are two the continuous joints which are for the revolution of the wheels. It is between motor and wheel. So here on the left part, the axis, you can see there is 0, 0.0, 1.0 and 0.0. So it is moving along the y-axis. But this y-axis is positive and this y-axis is negative. Why is this happened? Because in Fusion 360 we made it one from the one side and second from the other side. So that is the reason it is negative. So just remove this minus sign and save it. Press Ctrl S to save. It will get saved. This is the first change that you need to make. The second change you need to make is go into the fdpbot.gazebo file, which is into the URDF folder. Open that file. Here, first of all, you can see there is a body color property given and it is set as silver. So you can check, you can have it whatever color you want. So if I want it to be a wood texture, I can say it wood. Okay, I will create one more property. I will just copy it and I will paste it. I want wheel underscore color as, let's say, black. I can have motor color, motor color as gray. But how am I saying that I want wood, black, gray? How does Gazebo knows it? So there is a list of materials or textures that you can use in Gazebo. How can you check that? So just open up any browser. I will open up one here. Search Gazebo simulator material list. So here you can find the first thing, simulator Gazebo list of materials. So here they have a bunch of materials that you can use. I will increase the font size. Yes. So there is gray, dark gray, white, flat black, black, red, red bright green, blues, yellow, zinc yellow, purple, turquoise, orange, whatever color you want, you can give it to that. So here somewhere is wood as well. Yeah, see wood floor, gold, bricks. This is the wood palette if you want. See, there are a lot of materials that you can give. So I think let's give it turquoise. Turquoise looks interesting. So where is turquoise? Yes, turquoise. I will just copy this. I want body in turquoise color. There is something unique. Okay, then what else I want? There is one LiDAR as well. So I will say LiDAR color. And I want LiDAR to be red. Just for an example. But now we have tell okay, body color is turquoise, wheel color is black, motor color is gray, and LiDAR color is red. But here, if we are referencing to BaseLink has material body color. So what will happen is it will refer to turquoise. Very good. But motor right is also referring to body color. But I want motor right to have the motor color. So I will just copy this thing. And instead of body color, I will paste motor color. Even in motor left, I will say it as motor color. Then and the wheel, I want wheel color. Don't remove these brackets. Just rename the part where it is. Okay. Casters also I want of the color of wheel. Caster front and back. Here I am just referring to each and every part. Okay. And LiDAR I want in the color of LiDAR. So LiDAR color. Make sure whatever name you gave over here, it is referred at the top. Okay. Now I will save it.
Sir, this is XML or what? Which programming language?
This is XML. This is XML.
XML. Okay, sir.
Yes. But you don't need to know the programming language. You just need to make changes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now if I open gazebo.launch, I have saved this. Okay, see, our robot is in turquoise color, uh, lidar is in red color, wheels and caster are black in color, and the motor inside is gray in color. So this is the motor inside, which is gray in color. I want motor to be dark gray now, and this turquoise is very bright. I don't want it so bright. If any one of you wants it, you can keep it. It's upon your wish. So again, I can change body color to wood, and I can change motor color to dark gray. These are all from the list. Here you have complete list. You can choose whatever you want. Okay, I will save it. I will launch it once again. Yeah, this time you see, this is the wood color of my robot. My motors are turned dark gray. My wheels are black. Casters are black, and my lidar is red. This looks really nice. So yes, we do have our robot in place with the colors, and we have made our own UIDF. So now, once you have made the UIDF, let's make it move. How can we make it move? So we will, wait. For colors, there is one more thing. So now we have tried it in Gazebo. In Gazebo, we can see all the colors are there properly. But if I open a new terminal, if I, yeah, if I do display.launch, you can see still here the robot is in just gray color. Why is it so? Because the properties that we changed, it was for the Gazebo. That's the reason the name of the file was .gazebo file, and everything here is referring to Gazebo. So we have changed the materials of the robot just for Gazebo. If I want to change the color of the robot for in Arvis, there is another file called as materials.chakro. So here there is one material which is by default created, which is silver. So let's make materials as of this. So we have total 4 materials over here. I will make such 4 materials. So yeah, I will name it one as wood. What is name of second? Black, dark gray, and red. So here I will say black, dark gray, red. Okay, now here we are providing the color of these materials with the arguments of R, G, B, and A. What does this RGBA stands for? R stands for red, G stands for green, B stands for blue, and A stands for alpha. Alpha means transparency. So you know each and every color is made of RGB, red, green, and blue colors. It's a combination of these RGB colors that we see all the colors. Okay, so if this here we give the values of R, G, and B, we will get colors accordingly. And considering this alpha, this is 1.0. So 1 means it should be totally opaque, and 0 means it will be completely transparent. So if you want to have something which is semi-transparent, you can change it to 0.5. If you want it a little bit more opaque, you can make it 0.8. But here all my colors, I want it to be totally opaque. I will keep it 1. And now the challenge is to find these values, RGB values for each of these color. So let's start. For this, let's take help from the Google. So RGB color converter. Okay, it's not going palette. Wait a minute. If I type in RGB to hex, so this will be the color picker provided by Google. So here you can see there is RGB values of each of the, wait, I will increase the size. Okay. I guess this is comfortable. Yeah. So here I'm getting RGB values of each of the color. So now let's find the wood color. So I will just search where I can find a good wood color. Okay, so this is good. I think I want this as my wood color. So what is this? It is 189, 129 and 25. And this is out of 255. Out of 255. Okay. So these colors range from 0 to 255 for each of them. So if I make it white, complete white, you see everything is 255. And if I make it complete black, everything is 0. If I go to red, okay, and if I show it somewhere over here, see, so if I add the just color red on its full list and there is no yellow and there is no blue, it will red in color. If there is no red, 0, and there is just green, so this will be the color. If there is no red and green, only blue, this will be the color. If there is no red, only complete green and complete blue, this will be the color. If I want to make a yellow color, I want red and green to be mixed together to make a yellow color. So this works both the ways. So now I will find the wood color that I want. Yeah, this is good color for wood. So here it is ranging from 0 to 255, but here it is ranging from 0 to 1. So when it is 0 over there, it is also 0 over here. But when it is 1 over here, it should be 255. So to get the exact percentage, what I will do is I will divide 214 divided by 255. It will give me the exact value. It is 0.839. So for red, I will give 0.839. Next, what it is? 146 for green. So I will do 146 divided by 255. It tells me 0.572. So I will tell 0.572. And for blue, it is 43. So 43 divided by 255. It tells me 0.168. So 0.168. Okay, and this is alpha. This remains the same. Now for black color, it's pretty easy. As I said, if there is no color, it will be black. So 0, 0, 0. So here all I need to do for black is 0, 0, and here also 0. Alpha remains 1 because I want black color to be opaque. Okay. Next is dark gray. So let's find a good dark gray color for our motors. I guess this is a good color. Here everything is 99, 99, 99. Let's make it 100 just to look good. Yeah, 100. So now if I do 100 divided by 255, the answer will be 0.3921 or 392. So again for dark gray 0.392, 0.392, 0.392. And for red, as we already saw, your red should be 1. So this will be 1 and rest everything will be 0, 0. And alpha remains 1. Any doubts in this? How we have gained the color? I will save it. Okay. Once after saving, just remember what all names we have given and go to the Xacro file. XACRO, Xacro file. Inside this, in the top, you can see base link is appointed with a color material named as silver. So it was all silver before, but now we have given it wood. So I will type wood. The names are coming from here. If I would have said it brown wood, even then I have to name it as, okay, sorry. Even if I've named it as brown wood over here, I have to spell it as brown wood over here as well. I will save this brown wood. Okay. My motors will be dark gray. My motor, this one will be the dark gray. My wheels will be black. Make sure there is no spelling mistakes. Even wheel left will be black. Caster will be black. Caster will be black. And finally, LiDAR will be red. All these I have got from materials.chakro. Now, if I open the robot in RViz, which is using display.launch file, see, the robot has got the brown color that we wanted. The motors has got the dark gray color that we wanted. Wheels and casters are in black in color, and our LiDAR is red in color. There we go. So we have added the robot, and now it can be seen in Gazebo as well as in RViz. But yet we are not able to move the robot. How could we move the robot? So there is one simple thing. So if you search for Gazebo plugins, there is a tutorial page for Gazebo plugins. Just open it. Here all the plugins are given, and these all plugins are based on the sensor and the output of the robot. So if you wish to add a camera in your robot, you can add it from here. They have also given some example of the Chakro file. So in Chakro, you have to add all these things. Okay. Then if you want to add multiple camera, this is how you do it. If you want to add a depth camera, this is how you do it. If you want to add a laser scanner, this is how you need to do it. Everything is given over here. If you need to have an IMU sensor in your simulation, each and everything that is available, like a bumper sensor and everything, is given over here. The thing we are interested in is the differential drive, because we are making a differential drive robot. So as it is open source, just copy all these things, copy it, go to your .gazebo file, scroll at the bottom. Before this robot, place your marker before this robot and paste it. Now there are a lot of comments over here. You can remove these comments if you wish, because it will confuse you. But if you want, you can just read them before deleting. But I will be explaining them, so don't worry. You can remove it before, you can read it before removing if you are interested to learn more about it, to understand what each of these things do. They have provided comments on each and every line so that you understand what each and every line does. Okay. So I will just remove it. There we go. So what they are doing is, just like everything over here, Gazebo, and start with Gazebo like a XML programming language. Similarly, this plugin also started with a Gazebo and ended with a Gazebo. And this is a plugin. So it says plugin. What kind of plugin it is? The name of the plugin is differential drive controller, and the name of the file is libgazebo ROS differential drive.so. So these are the plugin files. These are already created and generated. You don't need to edit anything. Now, first we need to provide an update rate. So just remove all these things, and here give an update rate. I want it to update 50 times every second. So here it is 50 Hertz. If you want it, you can keep it 10 Hertz, even that is okay. Every 10 times every second it will keep. The more you keep it, the more processing power it will take. So to just make sure that you don't keep it very high, and if you keep it very low, if your robot is going to hit an obstacle, if you stop it, you have to wait till the next frequency is being heard and then it stops. So have a good balance. So a good balance is between 10 to 50 Hertz. That is what I see. I want just 10 Hertz right now. It's okay. Now it is asking what is the left joint. So if you refer to the Chakro, the joint should be continuous between your left motor and wheel. So here it's the wheel, left motor. It is the continuous joint. What is the name of the joint? It is left rev. I will copy this and I will paste it over here. You have to give the name of the joint where it is rotating. If you have given a fixed joint name, it won't ever work. You have to give the name of the rotating joint. For right joint, it is RIGHT underscore REV, right rev. Now it is asking what is the wheel separation, which means what is the distance between two wheels. So I will open my Fusion 360 and there we go. And I can use the tool inspect to get the distance between one outer edge of this wheel to the inner edge of this wheel. It is 245 mm, distance 245 mm, it is written. Okay, so 245 mm, which is equal to, I guess, 24.5 centimeters, and but here it should be in meters, so it will be 0.245 meters. What is the wheel diameter? So if you remember, again we can check the wheel diameter using inspect. I will click on this circle. The diameter is 95 mm. So here we need it in meters, so it is 0.095 meters. Okay, then what is the wheel acceleration? So here it is acceleration means 1 means 1 meter per second, which is okay acceleration. It doesn't need to be very high. What is the torque of the wheel? So you have to give this based upon the motors that you are using. 20 means either here torque is in kgcm. So 20 kgcm is the torque, which is okay for a robot of this size. Then we have to provide the command velocity topic, the odometry topic. All these should remain same except this thing, which is robot base frame. So what is the base frame of the robot that we made? The name was base underscore link. So I will name it as base underscore link. So what changes did we made? We provided the base frame of the robot. We provided the left and the right joint of the robot wheel. Basically, we updated the update rate. We provided the wheel separation and we provided the wheel diameter. Okay. Now, after all these things, just hit save. Control S to save it. We have now added the plugin. So basically, now your robot should able to move in the simulation if we provide it command using the command velocity. So now, how could you provide commands using command velocity? So you need a ROS package for it, which is Teleop Twist keyboard. So to download that package, simply open up a terminal, do sudo apt get install ROS melodic, if you're using ROS melodic, and type Teleop Twist keyboard. Enter. It will ask for password. It is already installed, so it is saying ROS melodic is already up to the newest version. If it is not installed on your PC, it will start downloading it. I have already there. So now, as I have added all these things, and make sure this minus is also removed. Just make sure you have removed that minus. Now, what you can do is you can start the sorry, not this. Start the gazebo.launch. After starting gazebo.launch, I will have it over here. Yes. Okay. There is our robot. There is our terminal. I will open up in the new tab. I will start ROS run Teleop Twist keyboard, which is the name of the package which we downloaded right now. and the name of the file is teleop_twist_keyboard.py, which is the Python file. So this is the command, and I will press enter. What it will say is it will wait for anything to respond on it. When it will start responding, currently the simulation is paused. So that is the reason we can say this play button. If I click play, see, if I click play, this will pop up. So here, now these are the controls. If I press I, my robot will keep moving forward. If I press K, it will stop. Means it will keep moving forward. I don't have to continuously press it. I have to just press it once. It will keep on moving forward. And if I press less than arrow key, less than key, okay, not arrow key, less than key, it will go backward. And again, to stop, I have to press K. For left and right, J and L are respectively pressed. And for forward left, forward right, U, O, M, and this. So technically, it's occupying the right side of your keyboard. Just press the middle finger on your K button, and as we did it in the Turtlebot simulation, press on the terminal over here. Just make sure you are active on this terminal. Press I. Your robot should start moving forward. But here you can see it is facing some problem to move forward. It is moving, but it is moving really slowly. Why is it? Because of the inefficient friction. So let's go back and fix our friction. I will stop this. Let's go back to the gazebo file. And here you see there is mu1 and mu2 for each thing. So let's do one thing. We want our wheels friction to be as high as possible so that it can come with contact with the ground plane and move the robot. And we want the friction of the caster wheels as low as possible so that it doesn't interfere with the robot. So what I can do is, here this is motor. I want to increase my wheel friction. So I will increase my wheel friction to, let's say, 1000. Change mu1 as well as mu2. For wheel left as well, I will keep it same 1000. And for caster, I will keep it 0.01, which is really low. Okay. Now I will save it. Now if we start the simulation again, yeah, there we have the simulation. Play it. Oh, sorry. Play it using this button, and on the new terminal, run this teleop_twist keyboard. Now if I press I, you can see my robot is moving forward. Now if I press K, it will stop. If I press the less than arrow key, it will move backward. Again, if I press K, it will stop. If I want to rotate, I can press L to rotate clockwise, K to stop, J to rotate anti-clockwise, and K to stop again. If I press O, it will go forward right. So forward right, see, it is going in forward as well as it is turning right. So O. So you can consider these as arrow keys, and accordingly it is working. Similarly, if you press U, it is going forward left. And then if you are pressing greater than key, it is backward right. And again, I will take it forward a little bit. And if I press M, it is backward left. So this is how you can control the robot. You can move it around. You can make it rotate. You can make it go anywhere. And you can have fun. So this is our own robot. You can make as fancy robot as you want. Let's add, I will pause the simulation. I will add a few things and see if it works or not with this. I will add a Coke can. Yeah, Coke can. I will move it on the top of the robot. I'll keep it in center. Let's keep it in center. And I will play the simulation. So it's now stop on the robot. I can now right click on the robot. Okay. And the name over here. And I can click on follow. So what it will happen is it will just follow the robot. So now if I go on to the terminal, and now if I control the robot, you can see it was this easy to make a waiter robot. I'm controlling it using my keyboard, and tomorrow we will be adding functionalities to this so that we can make it navigate around the scenario, and we can also make a map and we can autonomously navigate. So for today, this was it. If you have any doubts, I am open for questions.
Excuse me, sir. We are creating this 3D image of robot.
Mhm.
Sir, when we will do the hardware implementation, means what is the process this is called, and what we will do next with this?
Okay, so in this faculty development program, hardware will not be covered. In this faculty development program, it is just simulation. The next part that we will be doing is we will be making a, like we will be simulating it. So we will add this robot into a surrounding like a cafe or something, cafe or maybe hospital, and we will make it move along that. And it will be autonomous. So right now I was controlling the robot, but in the next session, it will be completely autonomous. About the hardware, if you are asking, remotely it is really tough to teach hardware, and as you can see, like with this session as well, it is really ROS is a very broad subject, and it
So
is
that is something kind 3D printing. 3D printing
what.
means, sir, how to create the hardware element from this 3D image from
No,
this.
no, it's upon you. So it is not needed as a 3D printing. You can just use some pieces of wood, and you can use some PVC pipes to build it. It's upon you.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
so it's upon you what tools you use, what
Means
materials.
how we are modifying our robot. Yes, sir.
Exactly, exactly. It's upon you.
It can be of any shape and size, depend on
Exactly.
the requirement.
Exactly.
But sir, this is a actually hard skill, na? How to make a robot design. Hard skill.
Yes, yes. So see, there was like there are so many different types of robots that people have made. So it is like very basic robots. You can see. So it's made of simple squares and shapes. So you can make it however you want. Any other questions?
Sir, in this gazebo, from where do you actually start the coding so that you can change all this? I got installed this gazebo, but I'm unable to start the window to do the coding.
So technically there is no coding in Gazebo. Everything, every coding you have to do in your own Chakro file, in your robot description file. There is no coding in Gazebo. Gazebo is just a tool.
Okay, sir. So, how to do the coding? Is it possible to do in, say, Visual Studio Code?
Yes, yes, yes. So see, right now I created a description file, right? The UIDF file of the robot. So here in the UIDF file, I am using Sublime Text, but in the description, there are several files. I have the Chakro file, which contains the details of the robot. I have the Gazebo file, which includes the physical properties. So physical properties like friction, the material and stuff. So I'm doing it here. I can add plugins. So there is no software that you need because it is just pure text. You can use a normal text editor as well. Understood?
Okay.
But all you need is the description of your robot that we got it from Fusion 360.
Fusion 360. Okay, sir. Okay. So now you will be next going in for developing the control system.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
And if you want to just see there is no coding in Gazebo, but if you want to start Gazebo, just type Gazebo in terminal, press enter. Okay, Gazebo will start, but you cannot do anything in here. You can just add models which you have downloaded maybe, but there is not much things that you can do because Gazebo is not a coding environment. All the things that you need to do are there into your robot properties.
So, sir, in the Gazebo itself, there are buttons at the top, just like this Fusion 360.
Yes.
Should we use that to build our robot?
No. Robot should be built by through a URDF only. These are just to move these things. So here I can, if I want to move this towards this direction, if I want to move this up, that is for those buttons are for. Understood?
Okay.
Yeah, so it will fall. This is a static object, so it won't fall. But if you look at other objects, it will fall. So these are not like for modeling or anything. There are some cubes and stuff, but that is for adding obstacles. So if your robot is moving, if you want to add an obstacle like a big cube or a big sphere, you can add these, but you cannot model using that.
Okay, sir. So could you do all these operations which you did in Gazebo in Fusion 360 also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If that was there, then why we require Gazebo 360? Gazebo?
No. So Gazebo is used for ROS. Na? We have modeled everything in Fusion 360, and in Gazebo we have just simulated it.
Okay, sir. The same simulation is not available in Fusion 360?
No. Fusion 360 is a CAD software. So
Okay.
everything about computer-aided design is there in Fusion 360. ROS simulation, for ROS thing, you need Gazebo.
Okay. But some other type of simulation like a stress simulation, motion simulation, that is there in Fusion.
Yes, because it is related to CAD, na?
Okay.
So yeah, so if you want, I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, here if I do go in simulation, okay. Yes, so it asks which type of simulation do you want to do. So let's check on static stress simulation. So I will create a study. Here what I will do is, I will tell, confirm, okay. I will just have this as a constraint. Okay, I will constrain this face and I will add loads. So I will add a structural load over here. I can select the direction. Okay, and how much load I want. I want, let's say, 100 Newton force. I can do okay. And I want to do static stress. They have some tutorials as well. You can follow this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so got it. Yeah, got it. So there we can do some CAD related simulations only.
Exactly.
Wherever we have this control system related simulation, you have to come to Gazebo.
Exactly.
Okay, sir. Okay, thanks.
So we can do like study from here itself. And here I guess results, simulation results. Yes. So it will compute all the things. I guess there is some error. Okay, we need to put the manual contact and automatic contacts, all these things. It's a long process, yeah, but it's anything about stress strain simulation, everything you need to do here. This simulation is control system. So here we are doing it, controlling it by keyboard, right? Then similar way, I can control it using a joystick. I can make it autonomous. So all these things are enabled due to ROS. These are features of ROS.
Okay, sir. So suppose you want to make a PD control and control this level, then some other then you have to do it in ROS.
Yeah, even PD control is over here. So here you can see controller.yml file.
Oh, sir, it's too small, cannot see that.
Okay, but when you create the description file, you can go through it thoroughly. So it has all the PID tuning and everything.
Oh, okay.
But here we won't need it because it's a normal 2-wheel drive robot. and everything is like the motion will be controlled autonomously. This PID tuning is very important where when we are working with robot arms. In robot arm, we need to have proper position control. In that, PID tuning is really important.
Here, maybe you require motion planning.
Yes, exactly. That we will be doing tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thanks.
So whether we have to pre-install Gazebo and RVS software to launch in Ubuntu or just we need to give command. So if you install ROS, installing ROS will install Gazebo and RVS automatically. So ROS is a whole set of package. It will install all these things automatically in one command. That is the answer to your question, Suraj. Yes, it is included in the ROS because it is a simulator provided by ROS, so everything is included in that. So even if you go to the ROS official website, I will show you this thing. I will stop this. Install ROS. Melodic for Ubuntu. Here you can see if you do sudo apt install ROS Melodic desktop full, it will include actual ROS. It will include RQT, which is the tool that you saw in the first day. It will include RViz, and it will include 2D and 3D simulators. So this simulator is basically Gazebo. Okay, I guess this simulator is Gazebo. But if you do ROS Melodic desktop, then simulators are not included. It is just ROS, RQT, and RViz. And there is some other mappings as well. So, but I recommend doing desktop full. It will include simulators, it will include 2D, 3D perception, robotic libraries, RQT, RViz, everything.
Sir, your organization conducts this coach training courses for these programs?
Can you come again? I didn't understand.
Means this like this because these are softwares which I think cannot be properly learned in 1 week.
Yeah, yes.
So, do you conduct a long-term training programs your
Yes.
organization?
Yes, we do have those programs. We have one semester-long program for faculties as well as students. So in that, it's the train the trainer model in which we train the faculties first for 1 to 2 months of duration, and after that, the faculties can add that into their curriculum, having a complete 1 year of course.
But for that, should we come to your place or is it
No,
online?
we send our trainers to the universities. I will share one email address on the chat right now. Just a minute. So this is the email address of our CEO. She handles all the school collaborations. Her name is Pallavi Saha, and she is responsible for like collaborating with different colleges. So what we do is we have 2 months whenever there is a holiday, we take an extensive session for the faculties where we teach them each and every small thing, then they can convey it to the students. That is what happens. And then we have a curriculum plan for semester wise curriculum plan. So when you are at the very first year or second year, it is very basic, but as you go into the final year, we make students ready for the industry. And as we are a service based company, we work with various other companies. We do provide students internships and placement in these robotic companies.
Oh, okay. That's very good. Okay, sir. Thanks.
So you could contact on the email address given in the chat. Ms. Pallavi Saha, she is the CEO of Rigbitter Labs.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions, or we could conclude this session?